Go on, friends, and welcome to another summer series where I finally am out for a bit and get to do some of the things I really enjoy doing. And this time I want to do an episode series on tombstones, that absolute staple of Halloween haunt decor. Many of you have probably seen the various tombstones that are out. They'll look like this, or like this. And they can be had anywhere from $1 at a dollar store, where they're really, really small and really, really terrible, to upwards of hundreds of dollars on great, big, gigantic monuments. They're all alright in their own fashion, depending on what you've got, but I'm coming here to have us do our own. For many reasons. Number one, and the reason that is most dear to my evil little heart, these come mounted with little holes on the bottom. And then they give you something to do with that. They give you a piece that looks like this. It looks like a little T, with the idea that it's oh so useful. And this is not the original one, by the way, and I'll get to that. What you can do with these magnificent things is you can take them, put them in the tiny holes in the bottom, and then they will sit, and then we'll stand it up and eat it outside. It will stop it from getting blown over. It's incredible. And then if you're inside, God knows why you would have a tombstone inside. It doesn't make any sense. You could put it like this, and the tombstone would sit on it, and it would rest, and it wouldn't rock, and you could have an indoor graveyard. God, that's dumb. But the whole fact comes down to these things. These vile, stupid little pieces of junk, which do one thing very well. They break, they snap, they go all over the place, and they break, and your tombstone falls over in the wind, and you come out next day to a whole bunch of flat slabs, and everybody goes, oh, your yard sucks. Okay, so we're going to make our own. And not only are we going to make our own, we're going to take ones that are like this and make them not suck. So, my history of tombstones starts with the earliest haunt, where I bought a few. They looked like this. They had those crummy little T-shaped standard things. They fell over, they broke, you know. Just about all tombstones out there are made of some sort of foam, which is handy in that, you know, it can be easily painted. It's relatively sturdy. It holds a good shape. But you also run into a problem where they do not really get you the opportunity to choose your epitaph. Most of them are just R.I.P. or, you know, stupid little stuff like, I told you I was sick, buried here, you know, things you really just... I'm sorry. If you're one of those people who puts funny little epitaphs on your tombstones, enjoy. That's your thing. I don't. My haunt is built on dread. And when the kiddos come in and they see, cheeky little tombstone, their concept of the scene just, it's gone, it's ruined. And then somebody cheers out and goes, ah! And they go, you're part of the haunt with the dumb little tombstone. Just doesn't work for me. I need realish looking tombstones. So, we're going from this. Those are the early ones I bought. Then one year we were lucky enough to have a piece of insulation blow off a nearby department store and fall in the junk in the trash pile. A friend of mine and I collected them, and we made these. And these held up a hell of a lot better, and we stopped using those stupid little T things when it became apparent they didn't work at all. Instead, what we do is we take stakes and put them in. We'll be using foam board insulation for the majority. And in the end, our tombstones will not be light little wispy things. You can make them to varying degrees of thickness. The ones I make now are thick stones. No screwing around. They have PVC for the stakes. They're not going to fall over, ever. They're just really wonderful. So, let us begin our tombstone voyage. Stay. And I'll start getting together the stuff to tell you what you need. We're going to have a little chat here about the primary ingredient of tombstones, and that is foam board insulation. It gives you the most sturdiness, rigidity for your tombstone buck, if you will, and it does come in several different styles, you know, shapes and flavors. Don't try eating it, it's terrible. It really is. It tastes like fruitcake. Okay. here's your predominant. This is the pink foam R-10 insulation board. This stuff is the brand available at Home Depot. It's got the old Pink Panther on it. What do we got here? Green Guard indoor air quality, blah 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 blah. Seal and inside. Yeah, it's pink insulation. All right. Mine is 2 inches wide. You can do 1.5 inches. You can even do 1 inch if you feel like it. You do not have to make these things anywhere near as thick as I do. I just like them that way. There are other types available. If you live anywhere near some other department stores or hardware stores, you'll come across this. It's green, but it's the exact same stuff. It's also 2-inch wide, foam board insulation, and is virtually identical. The joker in the deck is this stuff. This stuff is B-Tech. Am I reading? I'm reading on a screen backwards. It's weird. All right. Yeah, B-Tech insulation. This stuff is foam board insulation, but unlike the other stuff, it is comprised of all these teeny tiny little bubbly single pieces. It's not a solid lump like the others. It can be used. It's not bad, and if you're strapped for cash, go for it because it's cheaper. But this other stuff, the R-10 insulation, is more moldable, but it is not composed of tiny little fibers. It's its own lump of stuff. Yeah, don't be afraid to break this stuff. You're going to be tearing it apart. It's all good. Alright, so that's your foam board insulation types. Use what you will. Use what you can afford. In the end, everybody's going to go, those are really cool. And I'm going to show you how. Let's get some materials going. In front of me is everything you'll need except for the stuff that I forgot, that I will later on tell you in the middle of a video when it's least convenient. Yeah, I know. So let's begin, shall we? You will need the classic hot glue gun and plenty of hot glue. You will need a squirt bottle, maybe 2, definitely at least 1. Yeah, all right. Squirt bottle. You're going to need a propane torch. Could you use a butane lighter? Maybe. It's going to be something that's going to have to require a constant flow of flame. You might be able to get away with a heat gun, sort of, but really a propane torch for plumbing is probably your best bet. You're going to need some 3/4 inch PVC. This is going to fall down anyway. Let's just speed it along. You're going to need some paint. You're going to need black. It could be an enamel or a latex. You're going to need some stone color or, grayish, greenish, whatever you want your tombstones to be. Maybe several colors. I recommend latex for your stone. You're going to want a white as well. I would recommend that your white is acrylic. Yeah, so black, white. You're going to need a sealer. You can use polyurethane, or I always use spar varnish because the stuff is just frickin' indestructible. I love it. You're going to need, for your PVC, either some sort of hacksaw or, my personal favorite, a nice PVC cutting tool. These things are phenomenal. They're ratcheting cutters, and you put your piece in there and then you just snip it shut. Perfect. You're going to need some sort of box cutting knife or good kitchen knife. You're going to need a cutty thing, a very, very cutty thing. Yes, cutty things. Okay, you're going to need definitely one of the nice little standard kitchen scouring pads for fine sanding on this, if you will. You're also going to need, or probably want, a good scouring, get it the hell out of there pad, because we're going to be shaping a lot of foam. Along those lines, they also sell these wonderful little Sure Foam shapers. $6-7 at a hardware store, no problem really. You're going to want some foam board adhesive with a caulk gun. I just love holding it. Yeah. Alright, so some foam board adhesive. This is Liquid Nails, heavy duty, interior and exterior. They do make an actual foam board adhesive, but you're going to need some heavy foam adhesive. And a caulk gun is a perfect means of just getting a hell of a lot of it on there. If you try to do it with a hot glue gun, you're going to be really, really bored and it won't come out very evenly. So, this stuff, plenty of it. You're going to need some wood filler. I have no joke. I'm sorry. You're just going to have to get it. Wood filler. Latex gloves for the wood filler. I'm not actually sure how harmful it is. I just don't like getting it on my hands. There's a lot of particulate matter in doing this, so you're going to want a halfway decent respirator. This is not to say, oh my god, the deadly fumes will kill you, but you're going to have a lot of insulation fluff going in the air, insulation dust. You could probably get away with just one of those little mask deals without too much trouble, but I deal with a lot more, various chemicals and crud, so I have myself a good respirator. You're going to need a measuring thingy, preferably a right angle measuring thingy. This is the small one. I have a big one. You have a measuring thingy handy. If you want to deck out your tombstone with some moss or hide mistakes with some moss, this is, they use this for model railroads, for bushes and shrubs or wargaming terrain. This is particularly Woodland Scenics bushes, light green. And you can get it at most hobby shops. I got this from Amazon. It's relatively cheap stuff, and you can get a fair amount of it for low cost. 9/10 of your shaping and forming is going to be done by Dremel. Have a Dremel. You don't have to have a Dremel, but if you don't have a Dremel and you try to do this, at the end of it, your hair is going to be sticking out straight, and you're only going to be able to repeat certain words of one syllable or less. That's how crazy it's going to make you if you don't have a Dremel, or some sort of Dremel equivalent. You could probably also use a hot tip wood carver if you were really desperate, but really, Dremel, they're awesome. Use them for everything. You're also going to need a vacuum cleaner. For God's sakes, have a vacuum cleaner. I live in an apartment, and I'm desperately afraid what would happen if I didn't have this. I mean, you're going to have small little insulation pieces everywhere. Get rid of them. Clean them up. Okay. And probably the most high-tech gadget, which I will haul out the full thing when I show you how to make one. But this is the power source for my hot wire foam cutter. You can get them online for horrible prices. They're truly horrible. They have a small one called a Wonder Cutter, which I will show later on. That you can get for about $10. It's serviceable and feasible, and will do the project for you. They have a true hot wire foam cutting station for many sites, anywhere from $60 to $180, depending on how you do it. This setup right here with a transformer and a dimmer switch. Transformer ran me about $15. Dimmer switch ran me about $10, $30, $32 with the wood and some nichrome wire, which is about $6. So we'll get you a hot wire foam cutter for $36 and some scrap wood that's yours forever. These are the general materials, except for the things I forgot. And I should mention for the Dremel, there are a couple of bits that you should make sure you have. They're hiding down here, which you're not going to be able to see from this distance. So we're going to try to do a little video editing magic, and I hopefully will be able to show them to you in close-up so you can know what I'm talking about. The first is a dip cut, drill bit, or Dremel bit, I should say. This is highly generalized. It's just used for tearing the crud out of things and getting it torn apart, which is what we're going to be doing for a lot of the foam. There are several small routing bits which will just remove foam in various shapes, either a point shape or a kind of a bubbly, balloony shape, and some of them have almost a square routing shape. So it's all about just removing foam and getting it in the shape that you want. Alright, so yeah, I will try to get those all charmingly close up for you. Those are the things that we're going to need Sometimes I hide little pieces around that I was supposed to remind myself that I needed. But I don't see any. So I'm going to call it good. If you got this stuff, you can begin. But I'll tell you what we need if I forget anything. So, here we go.